Hello, my babies. The next chapter we're doing is called well, it's not called anything, right? Like, there's no numbers, but it's chapter 7. It's called A Name of Power. And let's get started. On the way home, Roran said, there was a stranger from Thurnsford at horse today. What's his name? Asked Eragon. He sidestepped a patch of ice and continued walking at a brisk pace. His cheeks and eyes burned from the cold. Dempton. He came here to have horse forge him some sockets, said Roran. His stocky legs plowed through a drift, clearing the way for Eragon. Doesn't Thurnsford have its own smith? Yes, replied Roran, but he isn't skilled enough. He glanced at Eragon. With a shrug, he added, Dempton needs the sockets for his mill. He's expanding it and offered me a job. If I accept, I'll leave with him when he picks up the sockets. Millers worked all year. During winter, they ground whatever people brought them, but in harvest season, they bought grain and sold it as flour. It was hard, dangerous work. Workers often lost fingers or hands to the giant millstones. Are you going to tell Garrow? Asked Eragon. Yes. A grimly amused smile played across Roran's face. What for? You know what he thinks about us going away. It'll only cause trouble if you say anything. Forget about us so we can eat tonight's dinner in peace. I can't. I'm going to take the job. Eragon halted. Why? They faced each other, their breath visible in the air. I know money's hard to come by, but we always manage to survive. You don't have to leave. No, I don't, but the money is for myself. Roran tried to resume walking, but Eragon refused to budge. What do you need it for? He demanded. Roran's shoulders straightened slightly. I want to marry. Bewilderment and astonishment overwhelmed Eragon. He remembered seeing Katrina and Roran kissing during the trader's visit, but marriage? Katrina? He asked weakly, just to confirm. Roran nodded. Have you asked her? Not yet, but come spring when I can raise a house, I will. There's too much work on the farm for you to leave now, protested Eragon. Wait until we're ready for planting. No, said Roran, laughing slightly. Spring's the time I'll be needed the most. The ground will have to be furrowed and sown. The crops must be weeded, not to mention all the other chores. No, this is the best time for me to go when all we really do is wait for the seasons to change. You and Garrow can make do without me. If all goes well, I'll soon be back working on the farm with the wife. Eragon reluctantly conceded that Roran made sense. He shook his head, but whether with amazement or anger, he knew not. I guess I can only wish you the best of luck, but Garrow may take this with ill humor. We will see. They resumed walking, the silence a barrier between them. Eragon's heart was disturbed. It would take time before he could look upon this development with favor. When they arrived home, Roran did not tell Garrow of his plans, but Eragon was sure that he soon would. Eragon went to see the dragon for the first time since it had spoken to him. He approached apprehensively, aware now that it was an equal. Eragon. Is that all you can say? He snapped. Yes. His eyes widened at the unexpected reply, and he sat down roughly. Now it has a sense of humor. What next? Impulsively, he broke a dead branch with his foot. Roran's announcement had put him in a foul mood. A questioning thought came from the dragon, so he told it what had happened. As he talked, his voice grew steadily louder until he was yelling pointlessly into the air. He ranted until his emotions were spent, then ineffectually punched the ground. I don't want him to go, that's all, he said helplessly. The dragon watched him passively, listening and learning. Eragon mumbled a few choice curses and rubbed his eyes. He looked at the dragon thoughtfully. You need a name. I heard some interesting ones today. Perhaps you'll like one. He mentally ran through the list Brahm had given him until he found two names that struck him as heroic, noble, and pleasing to the ear. What do you think of Vanelor, or his successor, Eridor? Both were great dragons. No, said the dragon. It sounded amused with his efforts. Eragon. That's my name. You can't have it, he said, rubbing his chin. Well, if you don't like those, there are others. He continued through the list, but the dragon rejected every one he proposed. It seemed to be laughing at something Eragon did not understand, but he ignored it and kept suggesting names. There was Ingotold. He slew the... A revelation stopped him. That's the problem. I've been choosing male names. You're a she. Yes. The dragon folded her wings smugly. Now that he knew what to look for, he came up with half a dozen names. He toyed with Miramel, but that did not fit. After all, it was the name of a brown dragon. Ophelia and Lenore were also discarded. He was about to give up when he remembered the last name Brahm had muttered. Eragon liked it, but with the dragon? He asked, Are you Saphira? She looked at him with intelligent eyes. Deep in his mind, he felt her satisfaction. Yes. Something clicked in his head, and her voice echoed as if from a great distance. He grinned in response. Saphira started humming. That's the end of that chapter. Give me 5 seconds here. We're just going to go on. The next one's called A Miller to Be. It's only like 2 pages. The sun had set by the time dinner was served. A blustering wind howled outside, shaking the house. Eragon eyed Roran closely and waited for the inevitable. Finally, I was offered a job at Therinsford's mill, which I plan to take. Garrow finished his mouthful of food with deliberate slowness and laid down his fork. He leaned back in his chair, then interlaced his fingers behind his head and muttered one dry word. Why? Roran explained while Eragon absently picked at his food. I see, was Garrow's only comment. He fell silent and stared at the ceiling. No one moved as they awaited his response. Well, when do you leave? What? Asked Roran. Garrow leaned forward with a twinkle in his eye. Did you think I would stop you? I'd hoped you would marry soon. It will be good to see this family growing again. Katrina will be lucky to have you. Astonishment raced over Roran's face, then he settled into a relieved grin. So when do you leave? Garrow asked. Roran regained his voice. When Dempton returns to get the sockets for the mill. Garrow nodded. And that will be in 2 weeks. Good. That will give us time to prepare. It'll be different to have the house to ourselves. But if nothing goes amiss, it shouldn't be for too long. He looked over the table and asked, Eragon, did you know of this? He shrugged ruefully. Not until today. It's madness. Garrow ran a hand over his face. It's life's natural course. He pushed himself up from the chair. All will be fine. Time will settle everything. For now, though, let's clean the dishes. Eragon and Roran helped him in silence. The next few days were trying. Eragon's temper was frayed. Except for curtly answering direct questions, he spoke with no one. There were small reminders everywhere that Roran was leaving. Garrow making him a pack, things missing from the walls, and a strange emptiness that filled the house. It was almost a week before he realized that distance had grown between Roran and him. When they spoke, the words did not come easily, and their conversations were uncomfortable. Saphira was a balm for Eragon's frustration. He could talk freely with her. His emotions were completely open to her mind, and she understood him better than anyone else. During the weeks before Roran's departure, she went through another growth spurt. She gained 12 inches at the shoulder, which was now higher than Eragon's. He found that the small hollow where her neck joined her shoulders was a perfect place to sit. He often rested there in the evenings and scratched her neck while he explained the meanings of different words. Soon she understood everything he said and frequently commented on it. For Eragon, this part of his life was delightful. Saphira was as real and complex as any person. Her personality was eclectic and at times completely alien, yet they understood each other on a profound level. Her actions and thoughts constantly revealed new aspects of her character. Once she caught an eagle, and instead of eating it, released it, saying, No hunter of the sky should end his days as prey. Better to die on the wing than pinned to the ground. Eragon's plan to let his family see Saphira was dispelled by Roran's announcement and Saphira's own cautionary words. She was reluctant to be seen, and he, partly out of selfishness, agreed. The moment her existence was divulged, he knew that shouts, accusations, and fear would be directed at him, so he procrastinated. He told himself to wait for a sign that it was the right time. The night before Roran was to leave, Eragon went to talk with him. He stalked down the hallway to Roran's open door. An oil lamp rested on a nightstand, painting the walls with warm, flickering light. The bedpost cast elongated shadows on empty shelves that rose to the ceiling. Roran, his eyes shaded and the back of his neck tense, was rolling blankets around his clothes and belongings. He paused, then picked up something from the pillow and bounced it in his hand. It was a polished rock Eragon had given him years ago. Roran started to tuck it into the bundle, then stopped and set it on a shelf. A hard lump formed in Eragon's throat, and he left. And that's the end of that one. And we will see you again soon.